Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle with more interesting and exciting Corvette knowledge and facts for you today. For today's subject, I want to talk about what my insider at GM, nicknamed Agent Duntov, told me was by far the best performance option car in the C6 run and why. Before we get there though, if you'd take a moment to like, subscribe, and do all the other stuff for me, I'd very much appreciate it. Helps me help you. Please continue to support our channel and I'll continue to put out content that makes sense and hopefully helps you and maybe even saves you money. So, Agent Duntov, when I was having my discussion with him about the LS7 and the foibles and stuff with that, he did have, we got off on a bunch of different sidelines because we both love talking about this stuff. So we were on the phone forever. And one of the things he talked about, he says, because we were talking about doing performance upgrades to the LS7 and, you know, this, that, and the other. Honestly, he said, if you really want to get the best possible C6 to do performance upgrades on, and if you want the best possible, most bulletproof track version of the car that they made, he said, honestly, it isn't the Z06. And it is in the ZR1. He says, if you want the best, take it to the track and beat on it car that is competent and safe and will stay together, believe it or not, it's the 2010 to 2013 Grand Sport Coupe with the manual transmission and the Z52 option, which if you got the manual, you probably got the Z52 anyway. Let me break down what that means for you. So if you got a Grand Sport Coupe with the manual transmission, and you got the dry sump system, which of course is the updated one that we talked about in a previous video, you got a few other things in there too, guys, that you might not be aware of. First of all, that LS3, and this is only the coupe and only the manual, was hand-built at the same Wixom, Michigan plant that the LS7 and the LS9 was built at. It also has a forged crankshaft with a longer snout on it to run the two-stage oil pump for the dry sump system. And again, this is a forged crank. This is a much higher quality unit, more high performance oriented unit than was used in the base LS3. Of course, it has the updated dry sump system that I told you about earlier. It also has an additional oil cooler, an additional transmission cooler, and an additional differential fluid cooler. The car only weighs about 3,200 pounds. And that car is extremely potent. It is very capable around the track. You know, of course, it's got all of the Z06 brakes. It's got all the good suspension bits, all the cooling stuff, without the necessarily the fragility or possible fragility of an LS7. It also doesn't have the aluminum frame that the Z06 did. Now, that you're like, well, Lyle, but the aluminum frame would be better. It'd be lighter. I'm like, yes. But when you're doing track work, especially at a track like Sebring or Daytona or Road Atlanta, the odds of you going off track, not too good. I mean, at some point, if you start really pushing, you may lose control, somebody may bump you, whatever, and you end up touching the tire wall or touching the guardrail or whatever. If you do that with a steel-framed car, i.e. a Grand Sport, normally that can be pulled and bent back into shape if it isn't just completely wadded up. It is very, very difficult to reform aluminum frame rails. And usually when a Z06 gets hit hard in the front, I don't know of anybody who's brought one back. Maybe you do. I don't know anybody. If it's been whacked, you know, like super hard, there's no fixing it. So just something to be aware of there. Also, if you want more power, okay, so, you know, the LS3 has 430 very real horsepower, very usable horsepower. If you want more, you want 400, 500, 600 horsepower, and you want to supercharge, you want to turbocharge, you want to throw nitrous on there, whatever you want to do, this package is the one to do it to, because the LS3 takes to those mods, specifically this LS3 in the manual coupe in the Grand Sport, takes to those mods far better than any other V8 possibly that GM has ever built. And again, this is coming from Duntov. This isn't my opinion. This is knowledge coming from inside of GM. He's actually looking for one of these cars himself, I believe, because he likes to do a lot of track stuff. So if you are in the market for a C6 that you want to enjoy during the day but be able to track it on the weekends, 2010 to 2013 Grand Sport manual coupe with the dry sump system. Best possible one. I think there's about 16 of them for sale nationwide right now. I did a quick search. That's the car you want. Any questions, hit me up down here. Until next week, I'll see you soon. Bye.